You are now listening to the Going North podcast. I'm your host, millennial author, professional speaker, and book enthusiast, Dom Brightmon. Every Monday and Thursday, you will hear the voice of an author share their stories, how they had to overcome some trials in life, how they published their books, and not only that, they will leave you with some pearls of wisdom to create a dynamic life. Now let's get on with the show.
And today on the Going North podcast, we have, you guessed it, another author, but not just any author. This is probably going to be the youngest one on the podcast ever. Because this guy right here has got a bunch of talent, baby, a bunch of talent, all the way from the East Coast, baby. This guy started writing at the age of 12, and he developed a lot of good stuff, and he's got some big plans ahead. Plans so big that I'm not going to say too much more about it, because this guy right here is going to be writing books for days, baby, and he's going to be lighting up the world. And you guys probably wondering who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one, the only, Lucas Orion Carter. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
Oh, it's doing great. Man, I'm glad to have some extra youth on this podcast, baby. Yeah, man, so am I filling in the gaps where I may have missed some things, and tell us about yourself and how you got to where you currently are today.
You already made clear I've been writing since the age of 13. My first book, Talent and the Gem of Life, published in May 11th of 2018. It is the first installment in my Kayorne Scrolls series. It's going to be an extremely large, intricate series with 13 books total and 3 sub-series, which each book is developed into. Let's see. I live in Owings Mills, Maryland, and my hobbies are pretty much writing, collecting bobbleheads, and pretty much watching movies with my friends.
That is freaking awesome indeed. So, so you started writing at the age of 13, and this is the first of 13 books.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I heard of starting a war chest, but oh my gosh, all right. that is amazing.
Thank you. The funny thing about the series is when I was 13, all started with just one sketch of a boy with wings in a boring math class. I find most of my greatest ideas can all stem back to me being bored in math.
Oh, man. Awesome.
Oh, man. So what got you into writing?
Since I was young, I've always had a certain proclivity, let's say a creative mindset. I used to be an artist from the ages of about 4 to 16. But then writing in a way brought a more closer connection with all my creativity in my head and all the things I've basically been able to imagine. I've been described as having an extremely vivid imagination, so much so that someone could give me 3 words, and out of those 3 words, I could create probably a whole short story in about 5 minutes with a condensed plot, very deep characters, in pretty much no time at all. So when it came down to it, I feel that writing was pretty much a better way than art, in my opinion, to basically be able to express myself. Because don't get me wrong, art is amazing, but when it comes down to it, writing, you can just translate your thoughts a lot better. With art, it's up to interpretation. With writing, it's clear and solid. It's right there.
True indeed, especially folks who read it and they're fluent in the language.
Yes.
Yeah, not to mention writing usually gets straight to the point. You have a better idea as opposed to the painting where someone could probably go totally left with what the artist intended.
Yes, I agree.
So any hints on what the next book will be about out of the 13? Because I know it's going to be number 2. Number 2 is going to be really good. Because I've got through the first couple chapters of the first book, so only to finish the rest of the book. But man, I bet there's probably some more good stuff. Any hints you want to drop? Any gems? No pun intended.
That's a good one. second book, which I'm actually working on writing now, is going to be a pretty deep book. The first one is kind of just like an introduction to the plot of the storyline. The second book gives you a deeper meaning of each of the characters. I'm not going to reveal too much, but in the second book, the main characters from the first one each go on their own separate kind of soul-searching journey to find out more about both themselves and their goal in life, as well as their destiny in a way. It's going to be very, very emotional speech to them to get through, and in the end, without spoiling too much, things do get dark pretty quickly.
Oh, man, so he's going to throw the whole eclipse on us, huh?
Yes, I am very infamous for bringing things on people when they least expect it. In the first book, once again, I'm not going to reveal too much. In the first book, as the story basically does explain, Talon is searching for this gem of life relic because he wants to use it to return his life to normal. However, he finds out quickly that his destiny has other plans in store for him.
Oh, man, and I can't believe it. So from the beginning, did you originally set out to make this a 13-book series?
Well, in the beginning, it was only going to be 6 books, and it was going to be one series. But, okay, here's the thing you have to understand about the 13 books. Each of the 13 books is part of the main series, which is entitled the Kayorne Scroll. However, the main series is split into 3 sub-series, which each cover a specific topic in the timeline of my universe that I've created. The first series is called the Talon series. It focuses on Talon, the main character of the first book. He has 5 stories in his timeline that are each dedicated to him. The second series is entitled Legacy, and there's 6 books. The last series, which is the darkest series of all 3, is called Eradication, and it will only include 2 stories. In the beginning, the series only had 6 books total, and it was only going to be concluded on Talon's story. It was going to continue on from there. However, once I got more involved in the story, I was able to take it much, much deeper and much more further than I had originally planned.
It's kind of funny how that works.
Yes, destiny is a fickle thing.
Ooh, I like that. It can be a fickle thing indeed. You think it's one thing, but woo, get hit with a trapdoor and then you're heading somewhere else.
Yes, sir.
So I graduated from Arlington Baptist School here in Owings Mills, and it's an excellent school, wonderful. I believe that you went there yourself at one point.
Oh yeah, alumni baby.
Yes, I had the privilege of being in an English class with one of the excellent teachers there named Miss G. I don't know if you remember her or not, but she's an excellent teacher, really bestows the gift of knowledge and writing upon any student who's in her class. I was reminded of, based on what we were just talking about interpretation, I was reminded of a very humorous joke that I heard about how in an English class, when English teachers are usually making you read a book and they'll try to make you translate what an author was meaning in a certain sentence. Like, for example, the author said the curtains were blue. The English teacher could probably say, what did the author mean when the curtains were blue? Come to a theoretical knowledge and thinking about what the artist was trying to say when the curtains were blue. When in reality, the author could have just been saying, the curtains were blue, that's it. There's no deeper meaning there.
It's true.
But at the same time, I've enjoyed learning in about probably every single English class I've ever had. So to all those English teachers out there, much respect. You are helping the next generation of authors and writers.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Passing on the English goodness.
Oh, man, so being bored in math class led to a drawing, and the drawing led to an idea for 6, now 13 books. So I'm pretty sure there may have been some trials that you had to overcome in really getting this first book out. So any trials that you have to overcome to really get to this point?
Glad you asked. Me, myself, as a person, it's no secret to those who know me. I've overcome a lot of personal struggles in my life to get to even just where I am today. And where I am today is hopefully just a starter in my plan. During the process of me writing this book, I had to overcome several emotional as well as physical obstacles. For one, when I had finished the book, as in just the writing of it when I was a junior, my computer had gotten hacked that summer.
Oh, damn.
And in the process of it getting hacked, the hacker got a hold of some of the files from my story. He attempted to blackmail me, and it pretty much put me in a state of mind in which I was technophobic for a long duration of time. However, once I became a senior, or it was either once I became a senior or once I became a junior, I eventually overcame that obstacle and was able to get back to my computer to finish my story once and for all, which I did. But then the next step was finding a publisher, which is no easy thing for any author, really. But after being denied multiple times by multiple publishing houses, I decided to use the self-publishing course and use Amazon KDP to get my book to where it is now.
Congratulations, man. When the worst of the world says no, just say yes to yourself and put it out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, so they tried to blackmail my fellow black male here. That's just horrible, man. That's just petty.
That was an excellent pun. Well delivered.
Thank you. That's the aim, baby. Occasional funny every now and then.
Ah, yes, it's important to keep a sense of humor in days like these.
Yeah, man, like, life is shorter than a 1-foot-tall brick wall, man. You gotta have some kind of enjoyment out of it.
Yes. In fact, that was my entire persona when I was creating one of my characters. He uses humor as a coping mechanism to help him through his struggles and his pain.
True indeed.
Is there any advice you want to give to someone who's looking to publish their first book?
Yes, I can. When it comes to publishing, you're going to face a lot of struggles, I would have to say. Me personally, I applied to a couple of publishing houses and essentially turned down by each of them. It's no secret in the writing world that you're going to face a lot of rejection early on. Even if you have a literary agent who's assigned to help you get your book out there, nothing is really guaranteed or promised. You could write an excellent story and you could still be turned down. It's one of the real hardships that you have to face as a writer, getting your hard work and dedication rejected. It could make you question your own writing skills. And I'm here to tell you, you really shouldn't be too discouraged. It's all just a part of getting your work out there. And in the end, you may even feel like you haven't achieved much, but I'll have to say this. Any writer who has finished a story from beginning to the end has already accomplished a lot more than a lot of the writers out there. Not every writer gets to finish their story, and the ones that do, congratulations. You pretty much set out to do something and you did it. Even if that book never gets published, you still get to be proud of yourself for actually accomplishing what you set your mind to.
Woohoo! Achievement unlocked. Wrote a story.
But yes, but when it comes to publishing, me personally, I would like to say, I have been published by Amazon via their KDP program, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. They have another program out there called CreateSpace, which is similar. They have many things very different in numerous ways. A lot of people would say CreateSpace is better because they operate like a actual publishing company, whereas KDP, you pretty much do a majority of the work yourself, as I'll explain in a second. But yeah, with Amazon, it's a great option for indie authors to find a way to get their stuff out there like a lot quicker. Like I know with me, I probably could have spent a lot more time appealing to other publishing houses, but as it was important, as I mentioned, for my story to be published in 2018, I knew that time was of the essence.
So for the KDP process, any advice would you give to those looking to go through it when releasing their projects?
Yes. My advice, forget everything you think you know about the publishing process. It's hard. It's a lot of hard work. You have to really devote yourself to your craft before you begin. You have to actually ask yourself, is this what I want? Is this what I'm looking for? And then just from there, it just goes to pretty much all the actual work. For one, dealing with Amazon KDP, you have to do a majority of the actual work yourself. The only thing that they will help you with is literally the marketing, if you pay for it, as well as the actual printing of your books. Everything else is all you, from the editing to the page layout to the cover design. It's all you. because in the end, all the company is doing for you really is printing your book and putting it on their site.
True indeed. So have there been any books that have really inspired you to really get out there? Because like what you said about being devoted to your craft, I'm pretty sure there have been other writers that have really inspired you.
Yes. Now that you mention it, in fact, in the back cover of my book, on the About the Author page, I mentioned by name some of the authors who have inspired me to become an author as well. I would mostly put it up to Rick Riordan, the writer of the Percy Jackson series. He was a huge inspiration in me becoming a writer. His creation pointed out to people like me that even though to the world we don't seem normal, we can do extraordinary things. I have ADHD and OCD. In Rick Riordan's world that he created, children who have ADHD, that's a sign of them being demigods, ergo daughters and sons of Greek gods, and by having such, that means they have more power. I found that extremely inspiring to someone like me. My other source of inspiration, without a doubt, would be J.K. Rowling and the Harry Potter series. It played a really pivotal role in my coming of age, and I think I speak for many Potterheads when I say that the Harry Potter series is just an elegantly written masterpiece that J.K. has created for herself, which has made her extremely successful.
Amen, indeed. Oh, that Rick Riordan, no wonder them books are so popular. Okay.
Oh, yes, they're extremely popular. In fact, I would say they are pretty much only outdone by the Harry Potter series. It is a true regret that their movies could not be as successful as their Harry Potter counterparts were, specifically due to the many, many errors they made in their development stages. It's a true regret. I do hope that the movies anyway, get rebooted and gives the fans what they really deserve.
Amen, indeed. Isn't that like one of the worst feelings ever? You read a book and read a comic book, and then they turn to a movie, then the movie sucks.
Yes, it's the worst feeling for any real bookworm.
Oh, man. Well, that's awesome, though. ADHD and OCD. So, wow. So I had to overcome a lot, and it's really awesome, too. I've actually read somewhere, I forgot the author's name, that sometimes that there's a theory out there that those with OCD and sometimes ADHD are really just the light bringers because they have more energy for certain tasks as opposed to those who are not diagnosed with that.
That's true. That's entirely true. In fact, another thing that's not well known about me is I'm a philosopher. I enjoy thinking. One of the thoughts that have popped into my head during one of my coffee table discussions, shall I say, was this very interesting hypothesis that me and my friend came up with. The hypothesis was as follows. What if all the people who have ADHD, OCD, or any other form of autism spectrum disorder, what if we aren't the weird ones? What if everyone is supposed to have one, and the people who don't have it, they're the weird ones? It's all a matter of perspective.
Amen, indeed. Funny enough, that actually reminds me of a motivational speaker, Grant Cardone, and his latest, well, I guess it's not latest anymore, but it's really good. Be obsessed or be average. It talks about owning up to whatever problem you have and be obsessed with making the best out of whatever you have. So that is a great hypothesis you and your buddy came up with, because it's like, hey, like what if it's really just something out there that we have a specific talent for, and it's like, wait a second, this is our normal, but it's not normal to them, and vice versa.
What Rick has done in basically linking something which in today's society is seen as a disability or a disorder or something abnormal, he has really found a way to make children, adults, young adults, teenagers, and anyone who has any form of an autism spectrum disorder, such as ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, OCD, just to name a few. What he's done in his stories is anyone who has such a disorder similar to that, it's a sign that it's basically seen as a sign that they may be a demigod, which basically in the Percy Jackson universe means that they're the son or daughter of a Greek god, and that their disorder is a result of them not being supposed to live of them not supposed to be in the modern world. For example, in the stories, they have dyslexia because their brains are wired to read ancient Greek and not English. And the ADHD is basically a result of them being, like, designed to fight better and react quicker to enemy movements, like in a sword fight. Basically, the ADHD is quoted as being able to keep them alive in a sword fight by them being able to, like, react quicker, I guess. But no, what he has done is really, personally, I see it as extremely important because I myself have a few autism spectrum disorders. And growing up, when that book was first introduced to me by my father, it meant a lot to me seeing something that, most society had considered to be abnormal represented as, not only normal but supernatural in a way. So, yes, what he's done is extremely, it's just a great way for children to, like, see a role model. Like, that's a lot of things that's been happening recently with the youth seeing role models and media, like books and entertainment. I know that when the Wonder Woman movie came out, a lot of women and young girls were able to, look up to her as a character. With the Black Panther movie coming out, a lot of people of color have been able to, look up to that movie for inspiration. And a lot of, inclusion and inspiration, that's important nowadays. Like, some people don't understand the need to see yourself reflected in something like a superhero because they've had that their whole lives. Not anyone can say that. Also, with the Love, Simon movie, the LGBT inclusion, that was also very important to, a lot of people. But the people who don't understand that probably don't understand that because they've always had something to look up to. And, the minorities in America haven't really had that kind of inspiration. So the fact that it's all been included a lot recently in several different forms of media, from books to television to TV shows to movies, it just shows how far we've really come. And I sincerely hope that we can continue to strive to do more.
Amen, indeed, because we're in the era where we got to make that happen. And it's pretty amazing with the whole Percy Jackson series. I was wondering why this series is circulating so much in the library world. And it's like, oh, the ADHD thing. It is actually shown as something positive and that sort of thing because it helps the warriors to fight better. So it's really, really important, especially with the role model piece, which you touched on greatly, which is true because, yes, we got the Wonder Woman movie. It's like, yeah, we finally got our main featured superhero movie for the ladies. It's like, because when you think about it, we really didn't have Wonder Woman never really got a movie until, I think it was last year that movie came out, 2017.
Yeah, and I find it funny to me. I must admit I am more of a Marvel fan when it comes to superhero movies. But I must admit the fact that the Wonder Woman movie, which a lot of people were they felt was unnecessary, even though we all know that it was extremely necessary, as I mentioned, for the role models. But I found it funny that in the DC Extended Universe set of movies that have been touched on recently, the Wonder Woman movie is the one that did the best of all of them, and it probably wouldn't have done so well if not for the overwhelming amount of support that it received due to the fact that its inspiration and being a role model. So I find that both ironic and both glorious to witness at the same time.
Agreed, indeed. It was like we've been getting Batman, Superman movies for the longest.
Oh yeah.
Granted, the Dark Knight series I did enjoy that trilogy of the Batman series, but
yeah, the Christopher Nolan series was probably the best Batman iteration that I've ever witnessed in my life, and I'm including Val Kilmer, his version, Michael Keaton. I must admit, I did like Michael Keaton's character of the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, and I heard that he's going to apply to that role. But, yes, I have to admit, that trilogy was extremely well done.
Yes, sir, indeed. What advice would you give to yourself if you were 15 in 2018? If you knew what was going to happen now and you already had your book and everything, what advice would you give to yourself?
I probably would have gone back to my younger self and said, don't give up. It's easier than you think. Not really easier, but it's closer than you think to actually becoming a reality. Because the 15-year-old me was not a happy person. In fact, 18-year-old me is rarely a happy person, but I must admit I'm getting there. But I would probably tell myself, for one, I would tell myself how I did this, because I know that me being a thinker would probably want answers, specific answers. Like, I know I've seen a lot of time travel movies where someone appears, gives a really convoluted and vague answer for, like, just something, and then they just go back to their time, leaving the person who received the message more confused than ever and up to interpretation of whatever they said. That just, ends up making more mistakes. But with me personally, I would probably go back and, explicitly give details, and I wouldn't care if it changes my timeline of living or not. I would just be like, no, look, here's what happened. This is what you have to avoid. Don't go there. Do this. Don't do that. I'd pretty much probably lecture myself, the version of myself. Be like, why aren't you listening to me? Pay attention. Write this down. You need to remember this. But yeah, that's just me. But yeah, I would probably go back in time and tell myself a lot of important things to keep up on.
Yeah, trust me, I think everyone's the same way. They would just lecture them like, all right, so whatever you do, don't fall for this bear trap. What do you mean bear trap? This ain't a force. No, trust me, don't fall for this bear trap. It'll make sense when you see it. Just don't do it.
That would be funny though. Like if you went back in time and was trying to explain some extremely important things to the younger version of yourself, that would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But wait, did you mention a bear trap? What are you talking about? Just shut up. Just listen to me. Know it when you see it. And then they could be stupid and ignore your warning, but then later down the line, when they see a bear trap, they're like, oh, that's what he meant. And then the future version of yourself was like, that idiot.
It's like, darn it, I was trying to keep that limb.
Yes, the punishments of time dysplasia.
Good times indeed. So for those who want to keep in touch with you and keep up with what you're doing and when book number 2 is going to be coming out, how can we get in contact with you?
Yeah, I run my social media accounts, which are my main sources of getting in contact with people. I'm in the process of setting up my Amazon website that my book is linked to. If you go on the Amazon store and basically type in the title of my book, which I have to admit is a struggle to find it because due to the spellings of the names of my characters, Amazon's website will pretty much give you anything but what you're looking for. If they're basically like, oh, did you misspell this? Is this what you want? No, we had it right the first time. But yeah, if you find my book and click on my author name, you'll be linked directly to my author website on Amazon, and you can get in contact with me via Instagram at the Prince of the Stars. That all lowercase with underscores between each word. It's the same for Wattpad, which is an app where people can create stories on. It's Prince of the Stars, all lowercase with underscore between each word. So yes, it's that easy. You can contact me on either one of those platforms, and I would probably get back to anyone who contacts me.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. Mr. LOC, Loc Dog, the Lucas Orion Carter. Go ahead and pick up 13 copies of the book Thalen and the Gem of Life, and go ahead and read it and leave some positive reviews so more folks can find it and support this man with his dreams of releasing a series to inspire the masses to do great and big things to better the planet, baby.
Yes, thank you. I've appreciated this time together.
Thanks a bunch for your listening ears on the Going North podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family, especially those who love podcasts and love listening to some inspiration and motivation. And keep a lookout for the sequel to Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself in October 2018. And if you'd like to connect with me directly, feel free to shoot me an email at dombrightmon@gmail.com.